Hello guys, Level Alone here. Welcome to part 2 of my Rand Raid Guide series. This time, we're gonna go over the second dungeon, Blooming Mineral Field. When you first enter the dungeon, you'll notice the boss has a shield around itself. The shield's strength is represented by a meter below the boss's HP bar. In order to break the shield, you'll have to destroy the crystals that appear around the map. You can take Headhunter off in order to do more damage to the crystals. Crystals will spawn on both sides of the boss periodically and randomly. If 6 crystals spawn on either side of the boss at any time, the boss will unleash a large laser that will completely wipe out all of the crystals on one side, and the progress for breaking the shield will not be affected. During the first phase, the boss will attack players with lasers from its tail, and will spawn lasers that cover the left or right sides, doing large damage to the upper, middle, or lower sections of the left or right side. The boss will also spawn fog randomly around the map that will explode after a short time. Be wary of these as you're running around the map, as they can easily take you out if you run into a few of them without any heals. The boss can also send out shockwaves from the center, dealing heavy damage to players nearby, so make sure you're healing up often. Everything in this phase hurts. Occasionally, the boss will mark one player with a purple aura that will explode after 3 seconds and do lethal damage. You'll need at least one party member to step into the aura with you in order to mitigate the damage from this attack. If your party member steps in too late, or if you move too much, the aura will explode and kill you and any nearby party members. Once your party has destroyed enough crystals, the camera will pan to the boss, indicating that the barrier has been lowered. This is your chance to start dealing damage to the boss. Make sure Headhunter's on. The recommended space to dish out damage is the left center platform next to the boss. Most parties will huddle there in order to maximize buffs, healing, and clear the aura targeting mechanic with ease, since everyone is huddled together. The boss's shield will recover slowly during this time, and crystals will not spawn while the shield is down. If there are crystals remaining on the map after the shield goes down, you can try and wait to destroy them until after the shield has recovered a little bit, so you can force it back down for a time extension. If the boss's shield bar fully recovers, the camera will zoom out and there will be a laser pattern displayed that will obliterate the entire map aside from a few safe spots where the lasers aren't covering. You'll only have a few seconds to see these, so as soon as the camera pans out, look for a safe spot. A few tips for the first section before we move on. If your party needs more damage for the crystals, try removing and replacing Headhunter as the boss's shield comes up or drops. Save some crystals during the damage phase so that you can extend your DPS time by breaking crystals once the barrier has made some recovery progress. Keep up your heals, potions, and defense reduction buffs as often as possible. Even senior players can get caught off guard by one of these attacks and lose a life. And now you're ready to head into part 2. Part 2 begins a little slower. The boss has awakened into a dragon, and this area will spawn bubble plants that provide a buff to players who pick them up. Generally, the party will wait in the middle until the first bubbles spawn in order to start setting up and let the DPS players get the first round of bubble plants. 2 plants spawn at a time. Picking up a bubble plant will give you 5 stacks of resistance. This resistance buff is necessary to do damage, and you will lose 1 stack every 15 seconds. No stacks equals no damage. The supports don't technically need to grab them, but every little bit of damage helps if your party's newer. Don't be afraid to grab one for yourself. This boss has some similar moves to the first phase. There will be fog that spawns randomly around the map and does great damage. Be careful not to get caught off guard. The boss also has a move where it spreads the glittery fog ahead of it with its wing and it will explode, doing massive damage, almost certainly a kill if you have low defense. The best way to avoid this attack is to stand behind the boss at all times. The boss will teleport around the map spontaneously, gaining hyper armor and cleansing any debuffs you applied to it previously, so make sure you re-debuff whenever it teleports. The boss will occasionally teleport to the left or right sides of the map and begin charging a leap and dive attack, changing the flow of the map. The side where the boss leaped up will have an upward current that will cause you to jump a lot higher than normal, and the side it dove down on will have a downward current, making it very difficult to jump onto platforms. Before the boss does this attack, you will have an opportunity to strike as it's charging up. Once you see it curl up into a ball after a teleport to the side, start command attacking. Command attacks at the right time will force the boss into a groggy state, where it will sit still and be debuffable for a short period of time. Occasionally, you will notice that your party members will be randomly affected by a blue or red circle, with arrows pointing outward or inward respectively. This mechanic requires quick reaction by the party to avoid a potential wipe or at least instant death. If a player is affected by a blue aura, they should immediately run away from the party, at least to another platform. When the blue aura expires, it will blow up any players that were standing in the area around the affected player. If the red aura is given to a player, the player or party must react and move in to hug that player. If you're not fast enough and no one hugs the player in the red aura, they will take lethal damage. This mechanic can be revive-titled through, but it's just easier to react or huddle. The next mechanic the party should be on the lookout for is directional lasers. The boss will mark all players with 2 directional lasers, both of which will always be next to each other. For example, left and down and right, or right and up. Ideally, players will move in the direction their lasers are pointing quickly. So if you've got down and right arrows, move to the bottom right during lasers. The other way to pass this mechanic is to have everyone huddled perfectly together. This is best done against a corner or right next to the boss with no one using skills that displace you so you don't accidentally laser a friend. Finally, the ultimate attack, Starlight Explosion. The boss will fly into the background of the map and scatter orbs around the entire map. One player will be marked with a debuff, allowing them to see a safe zone in yellow somewhere on the map. Once you see it, hit F5 or use a sticker to quickly communicate with your party members that you've found the safe spot and guide everyone to it. Once the explosion happens, the boss will teleport to the middle and then to a random spot. And now you're free to defeat the second dungeon in Ran Raid. Feel free to go back to any section you might need to review, and if you have any questions about mechanics, please let me know in the comments below. Look forward to part 3 coming your way soon, and as always, I'll see you all in-game.